I'm Katherine Price, and today we're sharing the development of PhysiOdyssey, our student-focused creative physiology journal, and how it supports student interns to build employability skills through working with an outward-facing journal. I'll now hand over to Shona, who will explain how PhysiOdyssey began and how it evolved from a classroom activity into a fully fledged journal.
So we thought we'd start off with a wee bit of background as to where the idea for PhysiOdyssey came from. It all started with an essay known as the Gary Essay, which our final year students in the Human Biology and Physiology programme submit in honour of Professor Gary, who was a professor in physiology at the university and was a keen advocate of science communication. So these essays have always been really interesting reads because we ask the students to be a little bit creative with the way that they approach it and come at it from a maybe a different point of view that hasn't been explored before. So they worked really well, but when Katherine took over the course that had the Gary Essay Prize as part of it, she decided to take it a wee step further, and she asked the students, instead of writing an essay, to write a story that was grounded in an aspect of physiology. So of course the students all panicked. They have probably not done much of this before, but Katherine organised some creative writing workshops for them, and she brought in creative writing practitioners to help them to generate some articles that were workable and could be submitted to a fictional zine known as PhysiOdyssey. But I thought that this was a great idea when I heard about it, and I said, we should make PhysiOdyssey, it should be a real thing. And actually, Katherine had already been thinking along those lines herself. And so we collected the stories together and produced a real PhysiOdyssey. We got it all printed out and we handed it out to the students as a little memento at graduation. So here is a picture of Katherine handing out a copy of PhysiOdyssey to one of our Gary Prize essay winners at graduation. But I didn't think we should stop there. I thought that we could make this bigger and open it out a bit wider than our own student body. And so the idea developed into PhysiOdyssey. So PhysiOdyssey is our open access creative writing journal. We use the Open Journal system to host it, and this is hosted by the university. It's free to submit to the journal and it's also free to read. The Open Journal System platform has everything you need. So we've got our website up there and we've got the ability to accept submissions and put them through the stages of peer review and all the other bits and bobs that you need to run a journal. So it's worked really well for us. We accept short stories, but not only that, we've opened it up to poetry and graphic narratives and even artwork as well, as long as they have a human physiology theme. So we're really embracing that creative aspect, but you must have the human physiology theme coming through there. And this has worked really well for us as a platform for our students to display their work to a much wider audience, and also from students from lots of other places as well. So not just Glasgow students, it's open to students anywhere. And actually, we've also opened up our submissions to any novice writers. And we define that as someone who hasn't had a book published through the traditional routes. So it works really well for interdisciplinary collaboration because our submissions haven't only come from people with a human physiology background. We've had submissions from poets, creative writers, medics, and lots of other places as well. So it's really interesting to get all the different perspectives and how different people interpret human physiology. So by writing a piece for PhysiOdyssey, we find that our students and our other contributors have a deeper understanding of the topic that they are writing about, because to be able to write well about something, you have to really understand it. And it also improves science communication skills as well, because you're thinking about how you express that information in a slightly different way. It's got to be engaging, and it's also got to be grounded in research as well. So it's got to be grounded in what we know and understand about human physiology at the moment. And it also works as a platform for increasing accessibility to science. So this is both from the author's point of view, so someone who maybe struggles with the more formal types of scientific writing might find it much easier to write in a creative way and therefore improve their understanding of science. Also for readers as well. So our readers come from lots of different backgrounds and they might not be able to read a formal scientific paper published in a more traditional scientific journal, but they might enjoy and learn something from our stories and our poetry that we have published so far. And so in this way, it fosters inclusivity as well. And there are lots of different styles of writing and types of articles that we accept to really make this quite an inclusive journal. The other really interesting thing that PhysiOdyssey has opened up for us is student partnerships, because students have been part of our journey in developing PhysiOdyssey and producing our issues so far. One of the key ways that students are involved is as authors. Here are a couple of examples of Gary essays that were submitted to the journal and were published in our first issue. And we've also had submissions from students outside of Glasgow. So this last one is a poem that was submitted by a student of poetry at Newcastle University. So just some examples of the range of submissions from students that we've had. But students have also been involved in the development of the journal as well, as we've been lucky enough to have some interns working with us on the journal.
Thank you, Shona. Because PhysiOdyssey is aimed at students and new writers, we wanted to involve students right from the start. We were confident that this internship could offer a genuinely interdisciplinary experience, developing skills that translate directly to employment. With support from the Chancellor's Fund, we recruited 2 interns, one from science and one from the arts, so the journal reflected both perspectives. When Jessica and Fee joined us for the first edition, the platform and the call for submissions were in place, but the design and style of the journal were still evolving. Jessica and Fee were involved in every stage of the first edition, including leading on social media planning and messaging and developing our editorial style guidelines. They taught us what a dinkus is, the 3-dot section break included in our style sheet. Their contribution was so valuable that we wanted to continue this model, and the Life Sciences Internship Style Honours Project allows us to do that. We advertised PhysiOdyssey as an alternative honours experience and were delighted when Katie joined us. With her interests in both science and literature, she embraced the ethos of the journal. The project mapped naturally onto the learning outcomes for the project. I'll now hand over to Katie so she can tell you about her experience.
Hi, my name's Katie and I joined the PhysiOdyssey team last year as an intern as a part of my final year honours project at the University of Glasgow. So firstly, this involved joining the editorial team, where I joined a diverse team of lecturers and students from different backgrounds in science and creativity, teaching me the importance of collaboration and publishing the second edition of the journal. I was able to gain unique insights by reviewing and copy editing a range of different scientific pieces explored through creativity. I was also able to deliver a social media campaign, which allowed me to build my critical analysis skills, editing skills, and also public engagement. I was a part of publishing a haiku competition, which encouraged people to get involved with the journal through short 3-line stories. As well as this, I was able to co-host a creative writing workshop with the co-founders of the journal. This also allowed me to design my own event for the workshop, which included using creativity as a tool to better understand science. I was also able to facilitate open discussion between the participants in the group who had different scientific and creative backgrounds, which revealed unique perspectives towards science. So these experiences have shown me the importance of PhysiOdyssey and creating a space for the intersection of science and creativity. I was able to directly witness the impact that had, and I was able to gain unique perspectives on science myself. So I would highly recommend anyone to explore creative science further, whether through undertaking an internship as I did, or even reading and contributing to PhysiOdyssey in the future.
Thanks, Katie. PhysiOdyssey internships offer an authentic experience as interns work directly on real submissions. They take part in peer review with academics from physiology and creative writing and develop a wide range of employability skills like decision making, teamwork, social media communication and design. These map across all our University of Glasgow future skills taxonomy, so cognition, collection, communication and creation categories. Offering PhysiOdyssey as an honours level internship also aligns with the QAA Inclusive Education Framework. It gives students an alternative format, so builds inclusivity into the programme structure. Additionally, the creative dimension, through writing or art, offers multiple ways to engage with physiology. This matters because inclusive science education asks us to rethink not just who participates, but how. PhysiOdyssey broadens what it means to do physiology by placing narrative and visual approaches alongside traditional scientific ones. So thanks for joining us today. PhysiOdyssey shows how creative, student-partnered work can open up new ways of learning and strengthen future-focused skills. We'd be delighted to collaborate, hear your ideas, or receive submissions from staff or students. We look forward to answering any questions on our work.